All right, I'm gonna be giving my thoughts on Denmark as an American. So to start, we were trying to make coffee in this nice Denmark kitchen, and we used a mocha pot which blew up, and the coffee went all over the walls and covers and everything, but you can't really tell right now because but all of the coffee stains just came off. Like we didn't even need water to wash them off. And I just feel like everything here is so thoughtful and well made. They use some special paint on the covers and the walls that's stain resistant to make it easy to come off. And there's like this craftsman mindset and everything here. This Airbnb is so nice. Look at this, the box that we got the pastry in is like this professional box. And another thing, all the windows here are so soundproof. And look at this latch. This is the most elegant latch I've ever seen. And it feels so nice to use and so solid. And everything is just quiet and people have this kind of calm productivity energy where, in New York, it's like
The word frenetic.
in New York, it's like a frenetic energy, and people are power walking around and, working on their emails with a lot of stress. But here, everyone is really productive, and Denmark's a really productive country. But they have this relaxed, calm productivity that really gives them the space to pay attention to craft. And I think because people are in this mode of this quiet craftsmanship, then naturally they want to make things quiet and make things nice for themselves, make spaces nice because you need that environment if you want to do good work, I think. And some people complain that the food is expensive and the coffee is expensive and the pastries are expensive. But I think if you have these richer experiences, their taste so good and so much goes into them. And some people think it's just pretentious, but I, for one, really liked the Coffee Collective $15 pour over coffee. I think it was incredible. And I think if you have fewer but richer experiences, it just makes more sense. There's less waste, it's more sustainable, and it's more, I don't know, it feels deeper, more memorable in some way, rather than having a lot of like cheap or maybe half disengaged experiences. And people say Northern Europeans and people in Denmark can be cold or unfriendly or something like this. But I think they're just focused and maybe they are, when you walk by people on the sidewalk in some countries, they smile at you. But I always feel a bit weird about it sometimes. Um, like I was in Iowa once and I walked by this guy who was sitting outside his house and I didn't say hi because I was in a hurry or I was listening to something. And he just looks at me, he's like, hello, as if it was like rude to not say hi to him. Um, so I think a lot of people smile at you with the expectation that you're gonna smile back, and it's almost this like searching smile, like, and I just don't like that energy, and you don't get that energy here. It feels like it doesn't matter whether you smile at people or not. You could if you wanted to, but it's not expected. Versus some places in the US, especially small neighborhoods, it's like expected, which maybe that leads to a happier society, but I don't think so, given how nice this place feels. And people do seem happy here. Even in the airport, the employees were all like bantering, they seem super jovial. I think like store owners and cashiers, they seem much happier here. And also I noticed in Switzerland than in the US, maybe because um, there's more economic equality here, so those jobs are more human. But I'm sure it's also for other reasons too. The craftsman culture also shows up in the US or even in Italy. The main malls and shopping districts and bougie neighborhoods and things like this, they're all just going to be filled with a lot of shitty high-end designer stores like Prada or Gucci or things like this. But in Copenhagen, I think there's a lot more independent stores, and you get the energy that these are just people who really care about the quality of what they're making, and that's why the thing is expensive versus it being expensive for all kinds of other extraneous factors not really related or only tangentially related to the craftsmanship. It's also fascinating that Kierkegaard is their national literature person, and Kierkegaard is extremely unrelatable and very dense and kind of an extremely strange guy who basically was like paralyzed by indecision, tried to defer making choices to God, thought his indecision was some kind of like religious struggle, but it was probably some kind of psychosomatic illness, and wrote a bunch of books about it, which is, I mean, at least that's what his life seems to me. Maybe that's unfair. And I'm only saying this because I really relate a lot. And it's really strange to me that that is the Danish, one of their public figures, you know? Like in America, the American scholars are Emerson and Thoreau and maybe Dewey, and these people are very accessible and easy to understand and very relatable for the average person. But Kierkegaard, I really have to wonder if the average Dane relates, and if they do, what that's like for Denmark or why that's happening. But it's super quiet here, very peaceful. The restaurants aren't blasting music outside. You just see people very carefully squeegeeing their windows of the shops that they own. And the whole city and even the apartment that we're staying in, it makes us want to be focused and calm and productive and organized. Definitely the ambient environment and ambient culture has an influence on your desires. And I think in Copenhagen, the desire is to be, yeah, calm, cozy, quiet, productive, focused, not super gregarious or social, but just kind of quietly dutiful, diligent, that kind of thing. Of course, there are exceptions. We're in Newborough right now. I'm probably saying that wrong. And there was a street festival across the street, which we could barely hear because the windows are so good. But I did hear a chorus of Danish women, probably like 20s and 30s, screaming the Lil Jon song that goes like, till the sweat drips down my balls, all these bitches crawl. So it's not, oh yeah, obviously there's going to be exceptions.